wanted to go over a couple minor tweaks I did to this core shaker, because I know there's some new swagers out there. And this has been a work in progress ever since I made it. The prototype that never died became the only one I made. Yeah, it's just evolved over 4.5 years roughly. I've been doing this for 4.5 years. So yeah, almost that long anyway. These wagers, other than your dies, this is probably the most important tool you will acquire. You'll probably have to build it. You may be able to find one out there. I took two people's ideas, blended them, because they both were part of it. The idea, and like that made sense. Modified it, made it work for me, and ended up with this. Over on Cast Bullets, there's a dude named Rick Lott, is what he went by. And he sold a 3D printed 100 core shaker. Sold it for like $75. He had a website and he sold all kinds of stuff for swaging, press bits, trays and stuff, 3D printed stuff. I had information and tips, and I can't find that site anymore. It doesn't exist, it seems. So I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he's active on Cast Bullets or if he's around anymore. Hard to say. The other dude was Soup 47, and he put up a diagram of the funnels, the dimensions, angles, that kind of thing. So with that information, I was able to piece this together. The angles and everything, dimensions, pretty much fit a step drill, which is what I used to make these. And it worked pretty well. Now, it was working pretty good, but, not super great, but pretty good. But since this is all made out of plywood, basically, it's susceptible to atmospheric changes, moisture. It expands and contracts. Jackets don't want to drop through here, especially if they're just slightly deformed. So I decided to take the step it and dress them up. I just chuck it in the drill press, set the depth stop, but I set it a little deeper this time, and by a happy little accident, went a little deeper, made this, these funnels just a little bit bigger in diameter, not too much, but the separations here, these ridges, you want as narrow as possible. I mean, if you give them 1/16 of an inch, it's fantastic. But working with wood, chip out, I was a little careful, and if I do have some that chipped out, it still works pretty dang good. Now this, surprisingly how much better it works now. They drop in a lot more readily, and I haven't noticed any real difference in how many are upside down. So, it worked out for the best. Let's see. We get my thoughts together here. Getting old. Oh, it catches up to us at some point. Say to admit it. But anyway, that made a huge difference. Like prototype wood, I left these borders. They could be a bit closer, but this bottom one, because I have a drain port here, this actually works really well, because when they're all in there, you get them down here and it's a smooth bypass. So something to keep in mind. Let's see. Now, that 3D printed one I mentioned, that one's like 3 or 4 pieces, one of them being a piece to clip them all together. Yeah, I made it out of scrap plywood I had laying around, and yeah, I had to take a slightly different route, but I do have another video on this, but yeah, like I said, it's little tweaks. For any of you guys interested in a quick overview, made this tray. That's for drain. If something goes wrong, you know, and they kind of dump a little bit, I can just drain them out pretty easy. That's what that's all about. This fence to hold it all together. The bottom tray, which all the holes have to correspond to this, so you want this all aligned and drill them at the same time. Basically a 1/4 inch hole. I think Soup's diagram says 0.30, so yeah, these might be. I think I actually did upsize them a bit. That they didn't have this separator plate, and what this does is it keeps them from double stacking. Without this, a layer drops into there, through here, and then a second layer gets in here, and they're all double stacked. That creates a big mess. Separator prevents that. It slides out, they drop down in, put it back together, drop your cores in, slide it out, they drop into the jackets. It keeps it all nice and tidy. Should all be covered in that previous video. You find it. Over the years, various holes and grooves and stuff to get fingers in and be able to grip. Yeah, just it evolved over time to become what I needed, what would work. Yeah, over that amount of time, most of it happened within a year or so. Okay, the other thing was because of this, and that one doesn't really cause the issue. When I'm shaking them, I have to cover it with my hand or else they come out, and that's kind of awkward. So I made Wally World gift cards. Yeah, they're expired or used up. Made 2 holes so it's reversible. It happens to slide right in there. Blocks that hole. And when I'm done, I slide it, double them out, and it exposes this to start this divider tray out so they all start dropping. And that made things less messy. You know, simple, stupid little things that really make things, you know, just a little bit better. Maybe a lot bit better. There have been times where things really went. Yeah, I picked up a lot of jackets or cores. Now, the other thing is once that's lifted, the spacer in there, plus the jackets. Which lifts this up a bit, and that protects the funnels. What I did this for head stamp separation was these 3/4 laying around here. Fits in there, and you carefully set that in there. This does it, spaces it enough so this doesn't drop down in. Gives you a little angle for viewing. You get your lighting right so that the head stamp markings pop out, and that's important. Get that lighting right, and everything is much more identifiable. It could, because of, you know, all the embossing, the way, you know, the light gleams off of it. Makes a big difference. these screws, I had to raise this up. At some point I did some modification, made this a little too big, and the top plate would slide out. So those are just standoffs to keep that from happening, and just fixing a problem I caused. These things happen a lot. A lot more than I'd care to admit. Oh boy, yeah. But anyway, that was not what I intended. I just put it in all upside down. So what do you mean? Okay. Anyway. How it always goes, you expect it. Something I had to some extent before was a lot of times either cores or jackets, you don't have enough to fill it all up. I mean, this thing it holds a lot. 315. So I had little cover plates. Sometimes yeah, you don't have a lot of something. And a little more. More gift cards. Yeah, you just never know. Or, any combination of these to cover up what you need. Because what happens is you drop your jackets in there, you don't have enough. They get, just sprinkled around in there. And you drop your cores, and they're hitting spots where there are no jackets, and not hitting some of the, the jackets that are in there because there ain't enough. So you consolidate them down into a solid area and minimize that, if not prevent it. It just little things that work. But yeah, like I said, you will want this. It will change your life if you don't have one. Things are just that much faster and that much simpler. Head stamp sorting and shaking cores into jackets so much faster than hand assembling when you're mass production kind of stuff. Oh yeah. Kind of do this now. This year I got a lot of 22 Win Mag and 17 HMR compared to other years. Combined about a pound, which really is something for me. I think mostly 17 HMRs, but there's a guy at the range, kid shoots both, and it's like, gold mine. Because, everyone shoots 22 long rifle, but not so many 17 HMR 22 Win Mag. I don't use a lot of them, but those are for heavy bullets, right on up to, you can stuff a whole lot of lead in a 22 Win Mag. I don't think I'd want to try firing it, but you can do it. Now, for shaking them, I made up a different set of trays. These aren't ideal, but they work better for them because of the length. I had to make that thicker. But where I'm going with this is I ended up dragging out my old stuff, and I just re-annealed everything just to, make it all kind of the same, make sure it's annealed the same. But also, I'm not sure, a year or two ago, I took a bunch of 17 HMRs and I trimmed them down. I was going to do a project, make different bullet weights, big batches, stuff. Got distracted, and you know how it goes. Never got back to it. So, they were looking nasty. I cleaned them up and re-annealed just everything, all together as far as these. Got these are all 17 HMR. Just over the years, over the course of 4 years or so. And these are 22 Win Mags, so I've got some to work with. But like I said, some of these got trimmed down. So I've got like 3 or 4 lengths of 17 HMR. And you have to cut them off at the shoulder. De-neck them. And, the jig, over the years, working that out, they cut slightly different lengths. They're not identical, where 22 Win Mags are pretty much all the same. But anyway, pointed out in the old video, I marked a corner so that these always line up because they're not perfectly drilled on a grid. They're they're all over the place, and that keeps them lined up. You switch one around, and some of them aren't going to line up. But anyway, what happens is you get some 22 Win Mags. I'm just going to throw them in here instead of trying to shake a bunch. You get some of these, what the heck, right? That are different lengths. And then these should be full length. What I'm going to do is going to demonstrate a little tool I made because of this. It's probably faster. Like I said, this one doesn't work ideally, but it does work. Because of the length, it works better than the other one. But it was never great. Never will be great. But, it's at least semi-functional. Oh, boy. But yeah, when it came to separating these, I ran into a little bit of an issue. It's like origami. It's a pterodactyl. Bark, bark. Okay. If you remember that commercial, when commercials were actually pretty great. Hopefully this will, with all the different lengths, drop in. Need to have them flipped properly, but okay, where's it? There it is. What I did to speed this up was I made this little gauge. I just took my calipers, measured out a 22 Win Mag, full length, and this one is when it's in the tray. The other one is 17 HMR, full length, and the top to the bottom of that marking is probably where it was first cut. Anything shorter has been trimmed. That way I can go like this. Okay, 22 Win Mag, 22 Win Mag. Okay, that's a trimmed 17 HMR. That's full length 17 HMR. And it really sped things up. So simple little things like that. It shaved quite a few minutes off this whole sorting process because I just had a visual. Visuals are awesome. Visual goals. That I've done the last couple days, probably 5 of those. So instead of taking a month, I'm working on week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that, at that rate. 13, 14, well, with these, I already did these. All I did was, even the trimmed off ones, I've just thrown in 17 HMRs. And later I'll sort that, but it's getting the 22 Win Mag separated from the 17 HMRs. And that gauge really sped things up. So, excuse me. Just want to throw that out there. You know, little things. Like I'm saying, one way or another, acquire can't even speak, a core shaker, and you will wonder how you ever got by without it. So, yeah. I mean, any of you find out there will be centered around 22 long rifle. But, yeah, if you're making it, you can tweak for the longer rimfire and get it. Like I've shown, I made one to drop 9mm so that it helps me separate them from 380s. Anything bigger won't drop in. 380s are shorter than flush. 9mm are flush with a 3/4 basically. And I can look in there and see if it's a MaxTech or has a wall. And it all fits in this system, so you get creative with it. Really, what I should probably do is buy those separator pans, but that you still have to look at each one for that wall, and well, they're all standing up. It's easy. But that is getting off in a whole nother direction. So, yeah. I just wanted to throw that out there. Little tweaks can go a long way and make life easier. All right, I'll leave you with that. Have a good one. God bless. That's it.